Right, today we're going to talk about the Triumph 400 Speed and Scrambler, or 400X in the case of the Scrambler. And it's a bike I followed with interest personally. I did actually want one, or had some kind of idea of trading the BSA in for one. Which Susie is nervously looking at me from behind the camera. Now, obviously I'm not going to go for it because I'm happy with the BSA, I'm sticking with the BSA, but I am following the launch of the Triumph quite closely just to see this kind of pattern of excitement, and it's all going off at the moment. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap. The idea of this video is really to take stock of where they are with the launch of the Triumphs, the 400 series Triumphs, and perhaps extrapolate out and see where this is going to go, and commercially where it's going to go for Triumph. So the 400X Scrambler and the 400 Speed, they're new 398cc single cylinder liquid cooled motors from Triumph in collaboration with Bajaj in India. They are priced extremely competitively at £5,000 for the Speed and 5,600 for the Scrambler 400X. Now, that's the thing that's made this thing all take off and blow up, is they've priced it spot on. If they'd come in at 6.5, 7, it would have been good and they would have sold a few, but it would be nothing like the success they've had. They've come in with Triumph branding, Triumph buying experience at Royal Enfield prices. And well, I'll talk about Royal Enfield later, but if I was Royal Enfield, I'd be a little bit worried at the numbers that Triumph are doing, because they're definitely eating into Royal Enfield market share. Okay, so what are the numbers? Sales success in January, and it looks like 130 bikes registered. We don't know the numbers for February yet, but I imagine it's going to be similar. We've got a Facebook group that's growing by tens, perhaps even 100 users per week, people who are not only owning the bike but looking to make a purchasing decision. So that's a very active and excited group of people. The bike is actually now sold out. If you want a Scrambler 400X in khaki green, for example, you can't get that until October now. There's also a wait until I think April for the Speed. So you had to have ordered back in October, when was it? No, November, December. You had to order it back then in order to get a bike in January. So the people who are getting the bikes now, they are pre-orders from last year.
So they launched it at the Motorcycle Live?
It was, I don't know whether they launched at Motorcycle Live.
But just before, maybe?
It was released in India first.
Oh, okay.
And then it's come to the UK in January. So it's been out in India a little while.
There was a lot of excitement over them at Motorcycle Live.
Loads of excitement over at Motorcycle Live. Yeah,
so that kind of foretold what was.
Yeah. If you see a crowded stand, people like a queue of people wanting to get on it. Then it's a good sign. You've also had very good reviews from all the reviewers or influencers. I mean, maybe that's a taken, but we've had good reviews. I've seen loads of YouTube videos of people recounting their experience in a very positive way about these bikes. It looks like the Speed and the Scrambler are about as popular as each other. I thought it would be the Scrambler because you've got all of the extra bits. Scramblers are perennially cool, they're always popular, but the Speed is lighter, and importantly it's about 13% cheaper, so it comes in 600 quid cheaper, which is quite significant at that price point, under £5,000 for a brand new Triumph. It's not all plain sailing though, there are a few teething problems. So let's start with the more innocuous and go up to probably the more severe. Immobilizer lights have been coming on, people have been complaining about that. There's been a couple of oil leaks and coolant leaks. How serious is that? We don't know. It could be, I mean, in one case it was a mechanic had cross-threaded the oil filler cap, and so that was allowing oil out, so it wasn't actually as bad a leak as perhaps it looked like it was from first take. Coolant has been seen dribbling out some of the bikes. A little bit more serious, bikes have been coming out of dealerships without having a proper PDI. And we know that because after 80 or 100 miles, the indicators, things are falling off and bolts are missing and that kind of thing. Talking of the bolts, some people who've had the bikes out a while, they've had it 1,000 miles done in all weathers, they've noticed the bolts start to fur up a little bit and tarnish. So we know they're built to a price, and this is just one of the things that comes with bikes that are built under £5,000 brand new. One of the most serious things happened in India where a guy slid his bike down on a flat highway and the swing arm totally failed. There's a huge gash in the metal caused by basically poor metallurgy. If that turns into a big problem that is throughout many bikes and many owners' experience, then that'll be a serious issue that would require a recall probably. But at the moment, minor issues, but nothing to derail the launch. So if I was an executive at Triumph, I'd be over the moon with this. It's all gone as good as it could go. They've sold loads, everyone's positive about it. People are putting pictures up of new bike day, and it's the excitement's at its max right now. Let's look at a couple of other comparisons. If we compare with the launch of BSA, I think Triumph have done a way better job. I'm sad to say this because I own the BSA, but they've got it delivered on time at a low price. Two things that BSA didn't do. If BSA had come in at, I don't want to say under £5,000, but if they come in at £5,500, not 7,300 for the Sterling, totally forgotten what it's called, Silver Sheen Legacy Edition, 7,300. They just priced that wrong, and they've had to readjust the pricing down now to sort of get this bike where it should have been originally. Triumph haven't done that. They've come in extremely aggressively priced, and they've decided with really good forethought not to go for that bigger profit margin, but just to get the bike in the hands of as many people as possible. And then if you want to increase the price 200, 300, 400 quid in 6 months, you can, because the bike's built its core owner base. BSA didn't do that, which is a little bit disappointing. BSA and Triumph have probably both got issues with spare parts supply. Deliveries, well, Triumph has sold out, which BSA I don't think they did. That's a bit of a difference as well. But spare parts and accessories are delayed on both models. But I do think that Triumph have handled the launch way better than BSA. Where are we going to go from here, and how does it really impact Royal Enfield? My prediction is that it's just going to sell really well. We're going to look at probably about 150 bikes a month, which, if you compare the Royal Enfield Meteor, that bike's particular peak in its popularity, you're looking at 250, 290 bikes a month. Triumph is a little bit more because they came in at 4. These bikes are 5 and 5.5, so it's a little bit more expensive. But I predict them doing over 100 bikes a month, and they're already dominating the under 400cc category, and they're dominating the modern retro category. If you look at the figures.
Who are?
Triumph, this bike.
Wow. So can I just ask a question which
Yeah.
might seem obvious to the watchers, the viewers?
Yeah.
Is the Triumph Speed and the Triumph Scrambler a modern retro?
I think it is a modern retro, but it's kind of got a little bit of a more of a modern than a retro. Like
Yeah.
there's no chrome, there's
So
no
Royal
wire
Enfield-
wheels.
Yeah. So Royal Enfield is still holding its own slightly. I like that. They've all got a little bit niche, their own thing.
What you've got some retro elements, like you've got the big single round headlights.
Yeah.
But you've got weird stuff that isn't retro on
That's
the
what I
Triumphs.
thought when I
like
saw them.
gold anodized forks don't belong on a modern retro. Mr. Darcy, the old man, he definitely hates gold anodized forks. I actually agree with him. If the BSA had gold anodized forks, it would look horrible. So yeah, but I think people who perhaps would have bought a Hunter, which is the more modern take of Royal Enfield's 350 range,
Yeah.
that's got 20 horsepower. This has got 40. So
No
why
brainer.
why wouldn't they want it? I mean, there are a little bit of downsides that go with a small capacity bike having that much horsepower. It's very buzzy. So over 60 miles an hour, it's buzzy. It's got short gearing in the first two gears.
Is
or
buzzy a
3
nice
gears.
way of saying that it's going to shake your arms off?
You might have a few white knuckles.
Like my little first metro car when I used to drive that on the motorway.
Well, that sounds quite dangerous. I'm glad you're still with us after that. But yeah, I think it's a good success. I did look at the bike. I looked at the Scrambler myself as a consideration. But having the BSA now, I'm kind of happy with that. And I like being 650 single. I don't really want to drop from a 650 to a 398cc bike. I know there's similar power output, but the BSA is a bit more of a thumper, a bit more of a plodder, whereas the Triumph is a little bit more busy. If I was to potentially look at a Triumph, it would be in 6 months to a year when the second-hand bikes come up on the market. I mean, maybe Suze might want the Speed because it's very light, it's got a low seat height. That's a possibility.
Yep.
Now, what will happen is, if everybody buys these bikes, the second-hand market will then become flooded, and that will then mean that the price of second-hand, that's a big Hornet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Price of second-hand Triumph Speed 400s is going to be, what are they at? New 5, so they're probably going to be 4. Maybe you could get 3.8, 3.9 for private when these bikes are 6 months old. They've got 1,000 miles on them. They've had their first service. So I'm thinking ahead, not rushing in with the hype like everyone else.
He's always scheming, always waiting. You waited with the BSA as well.
Waited with the BSA. It's my new thing.
And that was a winning choice.
That was a winning choice, yeah. So guys, I wish everybody who has a new Triumph 400 all the best luck with it. We'll see how reliable they turn out to be, but they look great. And people are smiling, people are happy, lots of people are excited for new bike day. So
yeah, let us know in the comments, because I want to read that about people's new ownership experience. Please do share.
Yeah.
And if you want one,
yeah, I think
share. Let's
definitely a
chat.
commercial success for Triumph. They've done what they set out to do. Bit of competition for Royal Enfield and happy motorcyclists all over. So it's a win-win-win, really.
Brilliant. Cup of tea?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.